We are hearing from community members and local advocates who are working tirelessly to break down the stigma of talking about mental health and suicide prevention.
And KEZI 9 News anchor Ariel Yakabazi sat down with a local comedian who looks at mental health awareness through his own lived experience. And she joins us live in the studio with part 2 of her special report, Breaking the Silence. Ariel?
Yeah, you may remember last night on KEZI 9 News, we heard from Jamie Brewer. She told us the story of her daughter, Kalia, who took her own life at just 13 years old over the summer, simply because she felt her life wasn't worth living. Even though her mom did everything in her power to help Kalia feel loved, feel wanted, tragedy still struck. Tonight, we're hearing from one man who tried to take his own life just about 10 years ago. He tells us the importance of talking about what's going on. Take a listen.
It needs to be talked about, and I just really take it serious.
We've all been there, wanting to talk about what's going on in our lives, the stress, our worries, but at the same time, not wanting to bother those around us. I'm told that's the problem, not talking about it. But this man is hoping to change that.
What dream would you pursue if you knew for a fact that you had absolutely nothing to lose?
And so I did my first TEDx at 52.
And I came very close in 2010 to taking my own life.
I am the mental health comedian, which seems like an odd juxtaposition.
Well, I've been depressed off and on all my life, and I've been depressed at some of the best times in my life. And I always worried, what's going to happen if I'm depressed at the worst time in my life? And I found out.
People ask, wait a minute, a comedian talking about depression, thoughts of suicide, advocating? Well, it runs in my family. It's called generational depression and suicide. My grandmother, my great aunt. I came close enough in 2010. I can tell you what the barrel of my gun tastes like.
I had an itch on the roof of my mouth. I could only scratch with the front sight on my nickel-plated .38.
I say to the audience when I speak, spoiler alert, I didn't pull the trigger.
It's an unconventional way to talk about suicide, to say the least. Frank King is a local mental health advocate and comedian who uses humor, or in his words, funny personal anecdotes, to destigmatize mental health.
Helps the difficult topic get digested, puts people at ease, because it is a taboo subject. Even though one person dies by suicide every nine minutes in the U.S., hardly anybody talks about it unless you bring it up. What I discovered was, when I brought it up, everybody's got a story.
Frank says the language we use when talking about suicide is also key. He says we shouldn't say things like committing suicide or attempting suicide. Instead, just say it like it is. This person killed themselves, or they took their own life. Even with people like Frank, who are working as hard as they can to make sure everyone feels seen, feels heard. And while it is getting easier to talk about a typically taboo subject, suicide rates are still high, especially in Oregon. But here's something surprising. We saw a decrease in suicide rates during the COVID-19 pandemic.
During COVID, we had a consistent talk about mental health, which was great, and there were a lot of bad things that came out of COVID, but one of the gleaning spots that we saw was a reduction in suicide, which we weren't expecting.
Why is this the case?
And it came from the fact that people were calling people that they necessarily wouldn't have called, or spending more time on the phone that they wouldn't have spent, and that just that human interaction really does make a difference.
So more and more people are talking about these uncomfortable topics. What else is holding us back from getting people the critical mental health help they need?
I think our biggest challenge right now is just staff. I'm down 31 positions. Linn County Mental
Todd
Health.
Noble with Linn County Mental Health says we need more qualified people. He oversees the mental health coverage in Linn, Benton, and Lincoln counties. Like other parts of Western Oregon, staffing is the biggest issue they're facing.
So traditionally, Linn County has been our great strength. It's actually been our mental health program. It's been one of the strongest in the state. And because we have so much need and we have to be successful. Linn County's pragmatic. We want to get the work done. But the biggest challenge right now is hiring staff. We don't know where people have gone, but I think every single business has that issue, and certainly everybody in health has that. But our challenge now is to get our full workforce, because again, there has been no time in any of our lifetimes where we have had more need for behavioral health services, breaking down stigmas, prevention, all of that important work, and that's why we're in this work.
And remember the group of bills we talked about signed by Governor Tina Kotek? Well, one of them is Senate Bill 1044A. It's giving money for various purposes related to behavioral health treatment. As just one part of this bill, $20 million worth of incentives is being given out to help recruit and retain healthcare providers in underserved areas. Jamie Brewer says a lack of staff is something she's experienced firsthand.
My daughter definitely had a counselor at her school that she saw time to time. The thing is that she was so busy dealing with other kids. For one, that just shows that there's a lot of mental health going on, like a lot of problems with mental health with kids, and they're trying to reach out to the counselor.
And until those staffing levels increase, I'm told the best thing we can do is talk to people, ask them how they're doing.
Yeah, we're all busy, we're all doing a million things at once, but if we just spend that little bit of extra time to spend a little bit more time in the lives of our loved ones and people we know, to acknowledge and see them, it makes a measurable impact in our community.
A simple phone call. Hey, how are you? That could lead to some much needed, deeper conversations.
8 out of 10 people who are suicidal are ambivalent. 9 out of 10 give hints in the last week leading up to an attempt, which means you can make a difference, you can save a life, and you can do it by doing something as simple as having a conversation if you know how.
And as we know, sometimes talking can be hard, and you may not want to bother those who could help you the most. But parents like Jamie say, just reach out.
All the people that love you and care about you, if you're hurt yourself, you're definitely just passing the pain on to them. Because this pain is extremely, extremely bad, and I don't wish it upon anybody. So just please, please, just like reach out.
It could keep you from experiencing the heartbreak and devastation she's going through. Something she doesn't want any other parent or person to go through.
I would say that it could happen to your kid. I didn't think it would happen to mine. Me and Kalia, the day before we were laughing and having such a good mom-daughter day, and it was just like, I was just telling her how much I love her that day, and I would tell her all the time, but I told her how much I love her, and I told her how happy I was to be spending the day with her, and just it's such a special day. So she was there, and then she was gone the next day. So.
Well, as we just heard, it all starts with a conversation. All you have to do is ask someone how they're doing, and that doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells around the people you love. People have bad days, and that's okay, but the hope is you can save someone. Just one question can be the difference to someone who might think they don't matter. So please reach out to someone you trust and ask for help anytime, and anytime you need any help at all. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time, for letting me do this special report. It's definitely a lot to go over.
It's one thing to hear from mental health professionals, but to hear from Jamie and to hear from Frank, who open up, real people, makes it real. Very,
Absolutely.
very powerful.
And I would like to thank Jamie and Frank for opening up and telling me their stories. It was truly amazing hearing what they had to say.
All right, thank you, Ariel.
Thank you.